If you're watching this, you've already made a mistake. Car 7 doesn't need passengers. It finds them. And once you hear the whistle, you're already on board. I found the rules scrawled on blood-stained paper, clutched in a dead man's hand. His eyes were still open, staring at seat 4B, frozen mid-scream. September 1944. The war's grinding to its end, but some trains aren't heading toward liberation. They're heading somewhere darker, somewhere between. They called it the Ghost Train in the resistance papers. Official designation, Transport 1682508. But Car 7 wasn't on any manifest. Still isn't. I boarded at a station that shouldn't exist. One moment I was running from patrols through Brussels backstreets. Next moment, platform, empty, waiting. The conductor appeared without footsteps. His uniform was impeccable 1942's Deutsche Reichsbahn, but his face. God. His face kept flickering like bad film splices. He handed me a ticket without asking my destination. The paper was warm, almost feverish. My seat number was scratched in what looked like rust. 12A. Car 7 smelled wrong. Not just old sweat and coal smoke underneath, that was something sweet, cloying, like flowers left too long at a funeral. The rules were taped above my seat, typewritten on military issue paper. 7 of them. The heading read, Wartime Transport Regulation, 742, Survival Protocol. Rule 1. When the conductor checks tickets, use your left hand. Stay silent. If he asks your name, do not answer. You are passenger 12A. Nothing more. I watched a soldier 3 rows up violate that first rule. He was proud, defiant. When asked his name, he shouted it.
Corporal Miller, Sachsen-Second Airborne.
The conductor's mouth opened. Not like a human mouth, it unhinged like a snake's, wide enough to swallow words. It did. It swallowed Miller's name whole. Miller tried to speak again. His lips moved, but no sound came. He clawed at his throat, eyes wide with realization. He'd lost more than his name. The other passengers didn't look up. They'd seen this before. They sat rigid, staring at their laps, hands folded, like mannequins, like corpses in waiting. Rule 2. During lightless hours, keep window blinds drawn. If you hear tapping or see a pale face pressed against glass, do not make eye contact. Nothing alive moves at 60 miles per hour outside. The tapping started around 9 p.m. Soft at first, almost polite, then insistent, then desperate, like fingernails on chalkboard, but wetter somehow. An elderly woman across from me couldn't resist. She peeked through the blind's gap. For 3 seconds, maybe 4, she looked. Then she started screaming. She kept screaming even after we covered the window, even after we pulled her away, because whatever she saw was still there, behind her eyes, looking out. Rule 3. At 3, a service cart will pass. Accept the gray-wrapped ration with a nod, but do not consume it. Pocket it until disembarkation. Consumption forfeits bodily autonomy. Miller was hungry. I saw it in his eyes, that soldier's pragmatism.
It's just corned beef,
he muttered, tearing the wrapper. The smell that escaped was sweet, meaty, wrong. He ate it in 4 bites. Chewed mechanically, like his body was already obeying new commands. By the 3rd bite, black oil was dripping from his chin. His veins started showing through his skin, but they weren't carrying blood anymore. Something darker, thicker, pulsed beneath, like motor oil through rubber tubes. Rule 4. When entering tunnels, the whistle will sound 3 discordant tones. Hold your breath immediately. Tunnel dwellers track prey by exhaled carbon dioxide. Do not breathe until natural light returns. The whistle screamed 3 notes that shouldn't harmonize, but did, in a way that made your teeth ache. I held my breath. My lungs burned immediately. In the darkness, I heard them. The tunnel dwellers. Wet, dragging sounds, sniffing, clicking. Something massive scraped along the train's roof, searching, listening for breath. 45 seconds, my vision started tunneling. 60 seconds, my heartbeat thundered in my ears. Then, a pinprick of light ahead. The tunnel's end. Almost. The kid behind me gasped, couldn't hold it anymore. The dragging sound stopped. Then came the rush of something descending. Fast, wet, purposeful. We burst into pale daylight. His seat was empty. Just a wet red smear on the ceiling above where he'd sat. And a smell like a slaughterhouse in August. Rule 5. The man in seat 4B wears a beige trench coat. He has been sleeping since 1944. Do not wake him. Do not touch him. If his eyes open and the whites are black, apologize and retreat. If the whites are white, it's already too late. Miller was deteriorating fast. His skin had taken on a gray, rubber-like quality. He stumbled toward the restroom, but misjudged and crashed into the sleeping man's seat. Hard. The sleeping man's head lifted, slowly, too slowly, like a rusted mechanism grinding to life. His hat brim tilted up, revealing eyes that hadn't blinked in decades.
Sorry.
Miller croaked, his voice already half mechanical.
Didn't mean.
But the mimic's jaw was already unhinging. Not to speak, to consume. Miller's legs weren't legs anymore. They'd fused with the floor, his boots melting into the rubber matting. He was becoming part of Car 7, absorbed into its structure. His fingers clawed at the seats, leaving gray smears. His final words were garbled, mechanical.
I'm so hungry.
Then his face sank into the upholstery. The mimic sat back down, adjusted its hat, folded its hands in that too precise way, and went back to sleep, like nothing had happened. Because for Car 7, nothing had. I gripped my crumpled rules tighter. 5 more to go. The woman across from me, Anya, caught my eye. She'd been crying silently for hours. She showed me a photograph. A little girl in a red dress, maybe 8 years old.
Have you seen her?
Anya whispered.
She was supposed to be on this train.
Rule 6. If using the lavatory, do not look in the mirror longer than 5 seconds. Car 7's reflections lag. If your reflection blinks when you are still, or smiles when you do not exit backward, never turn your back on your reflection. I needed to go, badly. The lavatory door creaked on rusted hinges, revealing a space barely wide enough to turn around. The mirror was waiting. I kept my eyes down. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. Quick glance, I looked haggard, terrified. 3 Mississippi. My reflection's lips moved. I hadn't spoken. 4 Mississippi. My reflection smiled. Wide. Too wide. I hadn't smiled in days. 5, I backed toward the door, maintaining eye contact, hand fumbling for the handle behind me. The reflection's hand lifted to the glass from its side, palm pressed flat. Fingers spread, like it was trying to push through, like the mirror was just a membrane. I stumbled backward through the door, slammed it shut. Through the crack, I saw my reflection standing there, palm still raised, waving. Goodbye, see you soon. Anya was standing by a window, blind partially raised.
The stations!
She said.
Look, we keep passing stations!
Her voice cracked with desperate hope. Rule 7. The train will stop at many stations. Berlin, Paris, home. You will see deceased loved ones beckoning. Unless the conductor announces Terminus 3 times, do not disembark. Those are memory traps. You will fall into the void. The platform outside looked like a memory dipped in honey, sunlight, flowers. And there, Anya gasped her daughter. Red dress, waving, calling silently through the glass.
That is her!
Anya stood, clutching the photo.
That is my Katia! She is waiting for me!
I grabbed her arm. The rules the conductor hasn't announced. But hope is a cruel master. Anya wrenched free, stumbling toward the door.
She is alone. I can't leave her alone again.
Her voice broke into sobs. I shouted, pointed at the rules taped to the wall. Other passengers looked away, like they'd seen this scene play out 100 times before. The door hissed open. The platform's warmth spilled in, bringing the scent of lilacs. Her daughter's voice, high and sweet. Mama! I've been waiting so long. Anya's foot touched the platform. For 1 second, everything held train, station, daughter, mother. Then the sunlight flickered like a failing bulb. The platform dissolved. Not crumbled, dissolved. Like watercolor in rain. The daughter's face melted into a crude sketch of sticks and cloth, a scarecrow with a child's smile drawn in ash. Anya turned, reaching back for the train. Her eyes met mine, full of understanding, regret, terror. The train lurched forward. Her fingers grazed the handle. Her lower body began to unspool, actually unravel like burning film caught in a projector gate, colors bleeding and tearing apart into raw grain. Her scream stretched, distorted, became part of the train's whistle. The platform vanished completely. Where it had been, where she had been, was just infinite black. The door sealed shut. The other passengers remained motionless. One less person. Car 7 didn't care. It had seen thousands fall. It would see thousands more. I looked at my ticket. The rust-brown number 12A seemed darker, wetter, like it had absorbed what just happened and filed it away as data. 3 rules had been broken. 2 people consumed by Car 7. Miller was part of the upholstery now. Anya was scattered across non-space, and I was still here. The conductor appeared again, materializing between cars without the sound of doors opening. His stuttering face regarded the empty seats, then me. Pleased, somehow. Outside the windows, the landscape had stopped making sense. Buildings bent at impossible angles. The sky was 3 different colors at once. We weren't in Europe anymore, maybe not Earth. The world was fading like an overexposed photograph. Time felt wrong. I checked my watch. The hands were spinning backward or forward, both. The second hand chased itself in impossible loops. A child's voice echoed from somewhere.
Are we there yet?
No child was visible. The voice repeated, identical pitch and cadence, a recording stuck in a loop, like a broken phonograph needle. The fluorescent lights began their own rhythm flicker, steady, flicker, flicker, steady. Morse code. I recognized it from training. F-E-E-D. Feed what? Feed who? The service cart returned, right on schedule. 3. But it was the same cart, the same gray packages, making its eternal rounds. I'd pocketed mine hours ago. It sat heavy in my coat, warm and getting warmer, like it was cooking itself. The smell leaked through the paper, sweet rot. An old man across the aisle pulled out his package, unwrapped it slowly, ritualistically. The meat inside was moving, pulsing. He bit into it anyway. His transformation was faster. Black veins spread like ink in water. His eyes clouded to gray. He didn't scream, just sighed, relieved, like finally coming home. Within minutes, he'd fused with his seat. Just another texture in Car 7's interior. His glasses sat on what used to be his face, slowly sinking into the upholstery. The package in my pocket was burning now. I could feel it trying to call me, whispering promises.
No more fear. No more running. Just become.
I stumbled to the lavatory, yanked open the toilet. The package went in, gray paper unraveling. I flushed. The mechanism groaned, resisted, then swallowed it. The mirror behind me fogged up. In the condensation, words appeared, traced by an invisible finger. That was yours. Now you owe. I didn't wait to find out what payment meant. I backed out, returned to my seat. The rules paper felt heavier. I unfolded it. New text had appeared beneath the 7 rules. Addendum. Rejected offerings require compensation. Car 7 takes what it is owed. Choose memory, time, or flesh. You have until the next tunnel. Memory, time, or flesh. 3 options. All terrible. I looked around. The other passengers sat like hollow shells. Had they all made this choice already? Given pieces of themselves? The train's rhythm changed. We were slowing. The conductor's voice crackled over ancient speakers.
Approaching. Tunnel secundus. Duration. Indeterminate. Prepare accordingly.
Indeterminate duration. Last time was 45 seconds of held breath. This time could be minutes, hours. No one can hold their breath that long. This was the trap. Memory, I whispered to the empty air. I choose memory. Something invisible listened. The air pressure changed. A presence acknowledged my offering. Immediately, something was gone. What was it? A name? A place? I couldn't remember what I'd forgotten. Just the hollow space where it used to be aching. The tunnel swallowed us. Darkness absolute. But this time, I could breathe. The others couldn't. I heard them struggle, choke, fail. One by one, the wet sounds started. Things descended from above. I felt them pass inches from my face, cold, slick, segmented. The tunnel dwellers were feeding. I breathed quietly, slowly. Invisible. A passenger screamed. The sound cut off abruptly. Something heavy was dragged across the ceiling. Then silence. Then another scream. Muffled, distant, ascending. Minutes passed. Or hours. Time in the tunnel didn't work right. My watch had stopped completely, both hands pointing at the Roman numeral for death. IV. 4. Finally, light. We emerged. 5 more seats were empty. The ceiling dripped. I didn't look up to see what with. Some knowledge isn't worth having. The conductor walked through, checking tickets. When he reached me, his flickering face almost smiled. Approved. I'd paid my fare in memories I'd never recover. Outside, the landscape had simplified. No more impossible architecture, just gray fog extending forever. Like the world was running out of film stock. Like reality itself was tired. A woman in the back began laughing. High, crystalline, wrong. She stood up, walked to the window, and pressed her face against it.
I see it now.
She whispered.
I see home.
She opened the emergency window. Before anyone could stop her, she climbed through. Into the gray, into nothing. She didn't fall, she dissolved. Unspooling, laughing, like film leader running out. The window sealed itself, reset, like she'd never existed. But I remembered her, or did I? My purchased memories were mixing with Car 7's fiction. What was real anymore? I counted the passengers left, 12. Started with maybe 30 or 40? I couldn't remember. Every memory I accessed felt suspect now, contaminated by the missing pieces. The conductor's voice. Next station, Endstation, final approach, prepare for. Static. The speakers died. In the silence that followed, I heard something worse. The train was slowing down. Endstation, the final stop. But according to the rules, we shouldn't disembark unless the conductor announces Terminus 3 times. He hadn't said it once. The brakes screamed metal on metal, prolonged and agonizing. We were stopping. A platform materialized outside, pristine, well lit, with signs reading freedom in a dozen languages. The passengers stood as one, drawn like moths.
Freedom.
Someone whispered.
Finally.
I grabbed my rules, read them again. No announcement. This was another trap. Wait, I shouted. The rules. But hope is a virus. They weren't listening. The doors hissed open. The platform's warmth flooded in, bringing the scent of home. One by one, they stepped off, onto solid platform. Nothing dissolved, no unspooling. They turned back, smiling.
Come on! It's real! We're free!
We're free.
Real, was it? I looked at the conductor. He stood in the aisle, that stuttering face watching me, waiting. His brass ticket punch gleamed. Then he did something unexpected. He nodded toward the exit. Permission or invitation to doom? I couldn't tell. The passengers outside were laughing now, embracing. It looked genuine, but Car 7 specialized in genuine-looking lies. I stood at the threshold, one foot on the train, one hovering over the platform. The gray void had been replaced by cobblestones. Solid, real. My foot descended. My foot touched stone, held, solid. I stepped fully onto the platform, turned back to Car 7. The conductor was gone. The train sat empty, waiting.
You made it.
A passenger clapped my shoulder. His hand was warm, solid, human. Maybe this was real. Maybe the nightmare was over. Maybe then I saw it. In the station's window reflection. Behind us, the platform wasn't cobblestone. It was still gray void. We were all standing on nothing, wearing the dreamlike costumes in a stage play. The passengers couldn't see it. They only saw what they wanted. Freedom, home, release. But I'd traded memory for sight. I saw the truth. This was the final trap. The conductor reappeared, now standing on the platform among us. But he wasn't alone. There were dozens of them. Hundreds. All in identical uniforms. All with stuttering faces. They began collecting, moving through the celebrating crowd, touching shoulders, and each passenger they touched froze, solidified, became statues of their own joy. I backed toward the train. The void beneath the illusion rippled like disturbed water, like a painted backdrop in a theater, tearing at the seams. A conductor approached me. His face cycled through expressions, welcoming, neutral, hungry. He extended his hand. "Your ticket, please. Final inspection." I pulled out my ticket. The rust-brown 12A had changed. Now it read, "Conductor-in-Training." The letters were still wet, still warm, still written in something organic.
Excellent.
The conductor said. His voice was mine. My voice. My inflection.
Your training is complete. You rejected the offerings, survived the rules, paid the price.
Behind him, Car 7's doors remained open. Inside, new passengers were materializing. Refugees, soldiers, lost souls, all boarding a train that never ends its route.
Every train needs conductors.
He continued.
We were all passengers once. We all made the choices. Memory, time, or flesh. You chose wisely. Memory fades. This is forever.
I looked at my hands. They were beginning to flicker, not solidifying like the passengers, multiplying, overlapping, like double-exposed film, like I was being photographed from multiple angles at once. No, I stepped backward onto the train. I choose different. I choose neither passenger nor conductor. I choose to remember what you want me to forget. The conductors didn't follow. They couldn't. Car 7 only takes the willing, the desperate, the hopeful. I was none of those anymore. I was angry. The doors closed. The train lurched. We were moving again, but this time, I wasn't a passenger. I was the error, the scratched frame, the misprint in the endless reel. I found the conductor's logbook in the front compartment. Decades of entries, centuries maybe. Every passenger, every choice, every consumption, written in meticulous detail. The last entry was mine. Passenger 12, A. Rejected consumption. Traded memory. Destination, unknown. Status, pending. Pending. Not consumed, not conductor. Something else. Outside, the gray void gave way to something new. Static. White noise made visible. The space between radio stations. The hiss between gramophone tracks. I'm still here. Still riding. The train doesn't stop for me anymore. Stations appear and vanish. Passengers board and leave. But I remain. Watching. Recording. Remembering. This footage, this warning, I'm broadcasting it through the static. Through the cracks in reality. If you're seeing this, you're already closer to Car 7 than you think. Listen for the whistle. Feel for the tracks beneath normal streets. Check your tickets, all of them, because Car 7 doesn't need rails to find you. It needs desperation. Subscribe to remember what wants to be forgotten. Stay angry, stay aware, and never, ever board the last train of the night. See you on the platform.